Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Jamie Bolam podcast. My guest today is my dear friend and Azizam, Bilal Mustafa. Bilal is an inspirational conservationist from Pakistan, and I would not at all be surprised to see him leading the conservation scene in his home country one day. Bilal has just completed his postgraduate diploma in international wildlife conservation practice at the University of Oxford's Wildlife Conservation Research Unit, aka WildCRU. I am fortunate enough to have joined the WildCRU family as well, and it is there that we met in early 2023. Bilal is a fellow of the Linnean Society, the Royal Geographic Society, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature's Crocodile Specialist Group, and also works for Conservation Optimism and serves on Reserva, the Youth Land Trust. Today, Bilal takes us on a journey into the Pakistani conservation scene. Why did Bilal dedicate himself to conservation? What is the history of conservation in Pakistan, and what makes it such a unique place? What were Bilal's experiences like, surveying for river dolphins, studying gharial, a type of crocodile, and delving into historical natural history? What are his thoughts on trophy hunting, and what fascinating examples of traditional ecological knowledge can we learn from Pakistan? What on earth is transboundary conservation? And what is Bilal's take on conservation in the developing world, specifically the area around Pakistan? How has he found life at Oxford and at WildCRU, the Mecca of wildlife conservation research? Rest assured, dear listeners, that you shall find out the answers to all of these questions and much, much more. And in other exciting news, as of March 2024, Bilal has just been offered a place as a DPhil candidate in biology at the University of Oxford. And DPhil is the Oxford way of saying PhD. So Bilal will very much likely be a doctor in biology in the next few years. How exciting is that? If you enjoy this episode, please follow me on your favourite streaming platforms for more. So you don't miss out on anything due to algorithm madness, I have made a free email newsletter that you can sign up to at jamiebolam.substack.com. I hate spam and much prefer speaking to writing, so as of now, the only intentions I have with the newsletter is to alert you guys to when an exciting new episode is being released and who is slated to come on the podcast in the future. I might add some other bits, like what music I've been listening to lately, but I'm taking this one step at a time and I'm a busy guy, so there won't be anything too crazy on there just yet. You can also follow me on Instagram at jamie.a.bolam. Like the newsletter, I will just use this page to share updates on the podcast, but I might also share some calisthenics, some Latin dancing, basically anything that looks super cool, treating it like a public PR page for myself. So I would love it if you would give me a cheeky follow on there as well. I present to you, without further ado, Bilal Mustafa. Okay, welcome back to the Jamie Bolam podcast. My guest today is my good friend Bilal. Bilal, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, thank you so much, Jamie, for giving me the opportunity. It's very nice to be with you again. This time in front of the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, we have the normal conversations before. Yeah, so hi to all those who are listening. My name is Bilal, and I am currently doing my postgraduate diploma in conservation science from Wildlife Conservation Research Unit at the University of Oxford, where Jamie is also my research fellow.
Yeah. Nice.
And yeah, I am from Pakistan, and first one from Pakistan to be at WildCRU, and the only Asian this year.
Yeah, welcome. So Bilal, obviously we're bonded by our love of wildlife conservation. What made you become a wildlife conservationist?
Yeah, so basically I belongs to a village background, and when I used to heard from my father and from my grandfather about their stories of childhood, and they used to tell me different kind of stories. For example, the animals which were present around the village, which I was not able to no longer see those animals. For example, there was a pigeon which is called yellow-footed green pigeon. It's like a very beautiful bird belonging to the pigeon family, but I have never seen one in my village in my whole life. But my father and my grandfather, they used to hunt that particular pigeon, and they used to tell me that there were lots of starlings during the winter times, which they even catch them with their bare hands. But I don't see that much amount of the starlings nowadays in my village. So that's what pursued me to have a career in in animal science, I must say. That why I choose the biology field. And then we also have a cattle farm. So like I was very much interested in doing something related to dogs and horses. But when I went to the vet school, the head of the department, he declined my admission on the grounds that I am a disabled person and I was not able to give injection to a horse. So that's why, like, and then I also got admission into zoology, and then that's why I started to pursue my career, particularly in wildlife. That if
Nice.
not horses, then let's be the lions or the snow leopards.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Good reason. So, where did you do your zoology studies?
Yeah, so I did my studies from the Government College University Lahore. It's the oldest institute of zoology in my country, even one of the oldest in South Asia. It was established by the Britishers in 1864, and the Department of Zoology there was first formed in 1906. So it is one of the oldest department of zoology in Pakistan and India and also Bangladesh, which were the part of the British Empire. And there is a beautiful museum over there, which is Stephenson Natural History Museum, and it's also one of the oldest natural history museums in South Asia. Yeah.
Amazing. Nice. And so, just to clarify, so are you from Lahore?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I am from a small town near Lahore which is called Sheikhupura, and it's famous for a monument which is called Hiran Minar
Mm.
or the Deer Minaret. It was built by an emperor in the memory of his pet deer, black buck. So the emperor accidentally shot the black buck, and then he ordered the construction of a minaret over his dead body, and then later on he ordered the construction of a large pond of water, and then a 12 gateway pavilion in the middle of that pond. So it's quite a picturesque place. There used to be lots of forests before when the emperor built that. It was the royal hunting ground at that time, but now it's all gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. So yeah, could you tell us some unique? What is the geography of Pakistan like? What's the habitats there? What kind of animals and wildlife do you have?
Exactly. Pakistan is like a unique country in terms of geography. It's present just near India, between India and Afghanistan and China and Iran and Arabian Sea. So on its north, you got the highest mountains of the in the world, like largest concentration of mountains in the world. We got second highest peak in the world, which is K2 or Mount Godwin Austen, and then the largest glaciers outside of poles. Then we got the second highest plateau, which is the Osai Plateau, after the Tipton Plateau. Then we got the highest cold desert in Skardu, which is Safranga Desert. And then there are peatlands in Chitral. There are three. It's the place where three mountain ranges of the world combine, which is Karakoram, Himalaya, and Hindu Kush mountain ranges. One comes from China, which is Karakoram, and then the other one from India, which is Himalaya, and the third one from Afghanistan and things like that, which is Hindu Kush. And yeah, so there are like multiple rivers in the country, but the top rivers which made up the Indus Basin, which is one of the largest basins in the world, is the Satluj, Ravi, Beas, Jhelum, and Chenab, and they fall into the Indus at a point which is called Panjang, the confluence of five rivers. And like around 40% of the country is in the mountains, most of the mountains in the north, as I told earlier, but then we also got mountains in the south, which are not so much higher, but of considerable high, like around 4,000, 5,000 feet. And those mountains were usually barren mountains. There's not much snow on those mountains, but and then we also got deserts, which is Thar Desert, which is the extension of the Great Indian Desert.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Cholistan Desert, and then we got the coastline, which is rich. We got lots of species of mangroves over there, lots of green sea turtles, hawksbill turtle breed on our beaches, and then that around 1,000 kilometers of marine coastline is present, but that's still most of it is unexplored. And yeah, so these are one of the unique features. We got like fossil records predates to the I think before even Cambrian era. So Pachythesis, I guess, is the name of the fossil.
Oh yeah, Pakistan. Yeah.
Which is Pachycetus, which is considered the ancestor of the modern whales and dolphins and the stations. Yeah, and lots of other stuff. We have a Brachytherium, which is one of the largest herbivore dinosaurs ever walked on Earth.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Those are found in Pakistan.
exactly.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Nice. So yeah. So what's the kind of the history of conservation in Pakistan and within the wider Indian subcontinent?
I
What can
mean,
you tell us?
exactly. So it is always associated with the wider Indian subcontinent. I mean, if you look at the religions, the Hinduism, there are many gods. They revered snakes as the gods, tigers as the gods, anything which they can be feared of, anything which has some kind of cultural value, they revere them as gods. I mean, even the river Ganga, you see that there's a growing campaign about rights of nature, and now the West has been moving towards giving entity to these rivers. I mean, giving them a status of uh, an entity or a human status. For example, done with some rivers, I guess, in the Europe. But in India, that concept was present from centuries, where Ganga, the major river, is considered a deity. Similarly, Indus, which is the main river in Pakistan, is considered not just Indus. It was called Sindhu Mata, which means this Sindh, the mother Sindh, the mother Indus, because it was the lifeline of the people, and many people. The oldest civilization on earth, which is the Mohenjo-daro and Harappan civilization, they call the Indus Valley civilization because those were the cities which were founded at the banks of the Indus. So it's like, and when you see at the those tablets, you can see many animal depictions on those tablets, and some of them like you can see people domesticating those animals. And then when we move further ahead, Jainism is also very much around animals. And in Jainism, they don't even sit on a barren place without uh, removing the dirt from it, because they believe that there might be an ant on which we accidentally sit on, and then they put handkerchiefs in front of their mouths because they might not inhale any organisms
Yeah, yeah.
there. And then in if you move any further, there is animism, which is present in Chitral region of Pakistan, in a people which call themselves Kailash. So Kailashas are uh, they told themselves to be the descendants of Alexander the Great, and they believe that everything has life, even the words that you speak has life. So they believe in animism, and they believe in the spirituality of every animal. And as I told you earlier about the Indus River, so there are local communities which we call Mohanas, or the river people, and they spend their whole life on boats within the river. They barely touch the ground, I mean, just for the basic needs, but most of the time they just spend their whole life on river. They tame the birds, they tame otters to hunt fish for them, they tame cormorants and other kind of things to hunt fish for them. And they knew the each and every aspect of animals biology, and they never kill any animal without the particular need. I mean, that's something which you have never seen before. I mean, and then during the Mughal rule, when the Mughals came to India, the Mughal rulers established royal hunting reserves, and when they went to a hunting reserve and they do the hunting, after a particular amount of animals which they harvested, they put a ban on the hunting within that specific reserve. And then they even brought animals from some other parts of the area to put into that particular hunting reserve where the animals were in excess numbers, just to translocate them within the country. So you get some excellent examples of early translocation of animals. And then they put feed for those wild animals within those hunting reserves. And then when you saw the monuments, you can see lots of wildlife depicted across the monuments, in which date back to like thousands of years back, even on the seas of Mohenjo-daro, which I told you. And then there is amazing hunting scenes and the tamed animals and the other wildlife depicted at the major monuments of Mughals, like for example Lahore Fort. There is a wall in Lahore Fort which is the largest picture wall in the world, and it has all been depicted by mystical creatures and animals like tigers, lions, cheetahs, black bucks, things like that. And then in the local poetry, the animals are very much engraved. I mean, falcon has been considered as an example of bravery and farsightedness, and then lion is considered as an example of bravery and things like that. A woman, if a walk of a woman is usually resembles with those of the gazelle, like they said that the eyes of the woman resemble that the eyes of the gazelles, because it's very much considered a beauty if you have a large round eyes, and a gazelle has just like this. And then the poetry which was written for the praise of a woman is called ghazal. Ghazal. So it's from the eyes of the deer. So the eyes of the deer is called ghazal. Ghazal is usually the word for the deer, and that's how the poetry has been sold. And it is said that the one of the earliest books ever written is I guess the one from the Hindu mythology. I forgot the name at this time, but it's
Is it one of the Vedas?
exactly Vedas. So the Vedas, when they were written down, it is believed that when the person who writes the Vedas, he saw a pair of the Moisli crane flying in one of the valleys of Pakistan, which is called uh, Salt Range, and it's near the Katasraj temples, which were considered one of the holiest temples of Hindus. It is believed that the Lord Shiva has two tears drop from the eyes of Lord Shiva. One falls in Tibet and form a lake near Mount Kailasha, and the other one falls within the current modern day Pakistan near Katasraj temples, and it forms that pond. So it is believed that when that person saw the animals, the Moisli cranes flying, he saw a hunter which put an arrow towards those cranes, and the arrow struck the male, and when the male falls down, the female also died before the male, and he emit a cry for his beloved, and like the both of them died when they strike the land. So on seeing these moments, the person wrote the first verses of the Vedas, and it was written that before that moment all of the verses were revealed to man by the god, but that was the time when the man first composed the poetry by himself. So like these kind of things still persist in the region. I mean, the wildlife has been very much in connection with the whole region, not just Pakistan but also the Pakistan, India, subcontinent. And the historically, the these all things are associated with something or another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So what is the modern day Pakistani conservation scene like? It seems like there's a lot of exciting stuff going on, and it seems like I feel like you'll be at the forefront of conservation.
Yeah, I mean, it looks currently. I mean, the country has been divided into provinces, and each province has its own wildlife and parks department, which is headed by a certain person. But I guess it was like the current conservation in the country has been started around 1960s when the some of the earliest expeditions were planned by Guy Mountfort. He was he was a Westerner who done the expeditions into Pakistan. At that time, Bangladesh was also part of the Pakistan, so he went also to Bangladesh and then to modern day Pakistan. So you can find his books on this, an expedition to Pakistan is present in Bodleian Library. And after that, WWF has been established in Pakistan around, and then some other conservation organizations like IUCN has been established, WCS, and of course the local wildlife and parks departments. And now, after the 19th Amendment, the provinces control their wildlife by themselves. The federal government just manages a little bit of that. Most of the provinces are now, all of the provinces now autonomous in managing their own wildlife. There is a growing concerns regarding the illegal hunting of the wildlife in the country. I mean, there is not as much mass awareness regarding the animals as it used to be, especially nowadays. The use of social media has not only like helped in curbing the illegal wildlife trade, but it has also exaggerated it in some aspect. Like anyone can go and hunt a sparrow or a any other animal, but it's not so much. I mean, most of the when the Britishers came, they hunt almost everything, and they put large amount of bounties on the killing of the carnivores like wolf, lions, jackals, cheetahs, leopards, tigers, and that was caused the extermination of the most of the wildlife from within the country. But the wildlife which we still got after that is a little bit preserved. Like cheetahs were present in Pakistan, they went extinct just around 2001.
That's mad.
Similarly, like gharial, which was used to be present in the country, it
Yeah, gharial's like a big crocodile, right?
exactly
They eat
they,
fish.
they ate fish. They have a long snout, so they went extinct from the country around 1980s. And there was a wild ash, which we call Indian wild ass, is the ancestor of the modern ass, and it went extinct from around the similar time frame. But after that, the government has put some efforts, and the wildlife department has been formed. So wildlife departments were doing amazingly well within their resources. I mean, not much of the resources has been allocated to the departments, but the resources that they have, they are doing some tremendous work on the full of their capacity. I mean, who else can patrol an area of like 100 square kilometers or more than that and just made their own bread and made their own food by themselves? I mean, no one can do that. So those rangers, they were doing some amazing work in protecting the wildlife, and they just got what around maybe $100 in the monthly pay.
Wow.
Yeah, so these are the minor pays that they got, but they still protect the animals because they care for those animals and they thought of them as part of their system, as part of their cultural values. There are some people within the Pakistan, like some animal right organizations, which says that nothing is working. I mean, Pakistan wildlife is going to be doomed. The hunters were going to exterminate all of the wildlife. The people are going to exterminate all of the wildlife. The government departments are not doing whatever they want to do or what they're supposed to do. The people were like hunting animals without any kind of check and balance, and government was just sitting down. I mean, these problems, they persist in every country, but to blame the government for everything that is happening is not going to work in the long run. The government is doing whatever in its capacity, but it's as a citizen, I think there is much more need for us to protect, to also take responsibility for the protection of the wildlife, not to just put all the blame on the government or just to expect the government to protect when we ourselves were not going to protect what we got from what we got in Pakistan. And the private organizations which work in Pakistan are WWF. They are doing amazing work. They have their offices in almost every aspect of the country. IUCN got its offices within the
So that's
country
the
and other,
International Union for the Conservation of Nature.
exactly, IUCN, and then WCS got its offices. Yeah, and some other organization are also working across
Nice.
the range.
So WCS is Wildlife Conservation Society.
Yeah, we got Wildlife Conservation Society in, yeah,
Nice.
exactly. And there are some other, I guess, but these are the major ones which works with funding from WWF is the largest, has got the most funding and most offices around the country. And the WWF is working from ocean to the mountains, so that's why WWF is much more diverse. But and WWF Pakistan is like one of the pioneers organization, one of the earliest chapters of WWF which was established. And Pakistan was fortunate enough that two presidents of WWF International were Pakistanis.
Oh wow.
One of the president was Sayyid Babar Ali. He became the president just after the Prince Philip retired. And the current president of WWF, which is Professor Dr. Adil Najm, is also a Pakistani. Yeah.
Super nice. So another thing you wanted to talk about was the challenges facing Pakistani students in conservation. So
The challenges are faced by Pakistanis is that most of the time they just believe in the lab work. I mean, they don't prefer field as much as they should be. There is
the field's where all the cool stuff is, mate.
exactly. I mean, but they don't prefer the field stuff because of, I don't know what are the reasons, but because of there's a less communication there's a communication gap between academia and the local wildlife departments. This is the main problem in the country, because when the local students, they think of wildlife, the thing which came into their mind is WWF Pakistan. It's not the local or provincial wildlife department. So I guess there is a gap between academia and institute and the wildlife departments, which needs to be bridged up. And then there is a less amount of funding available to those students. I mean, the funding, most of the time funding went to the lab work, but not to the actual field work or stuff. The third thing is that the Pakistan is like a developing country, so there is less access to the equipment and the other more state of the art modern wildlife techniques which were developed across the world. There is not so much capacity building within the country itself. Most of the time, I mean, I have never heard about vortex,
Yeah.
or about space gap, or about some other distance sampling techniques before I came to Oxford.
Yeah.
I learned about them after coming to Oxford.
Yeah.
If you talk about the genetic sequencing, there is not a single lab within the country who done the whole genome sequencing. Most of the time that the sequencing that was done was just crap. I mean, it was so much junk in it, and you need to have ship the samples across the country to some other country, which takes lots of time, and then also lots of resources, and hinder the capacity building within the country. And then there is also parachute science. The Western scientists, they come to country to research on certain aspects, leave, just finished. I mean, they can't mentors the students within the country. They don't even try to follow up on the projects, except because I have seen many people. They, for example, there was a PhD person who done the PhD in Pakistan, published some qualitative research, but when it comes to assisting the students who participated in that research with him or her, he or she did not follow up with those students later on, and just vanished. I mean, with the next with her or his next project. And then most of the time, even if they published a paper with those students, they preferred to have their name to be kept at the end, like as a fourth or fifth author, because that particular paper has been published mostly in the low impact journals, because most of the time they were not able to pay the fees. So publication fee is also a major issue regarding the productive research within the country. I know many researchers who are very good at doing the research, but at the end they were not able to publish their findings in a peer reviewed journal because of the publication fees, and they have to publish it in some third class journals, or even they don't even publish some of those research.
Yeah, because even if it is like a free and open access journal, like scientists say that's a good thing, because otherwise all of this science is hidden behind paywalls. But then the catch with making it a free and open access journal is that there's all these big publication fees as well.
Exactly.
So it's a catch-22.
Exactly.
Unless you're in an institution that has a publishing
lots
agreement,
of money. Exactly.
lots of money. Which we're fortunate that if we publish something through the University of Oxford, they've got agreements with certain
Different
journals that there's no publication fees. But what are you supposed to do when you're when you're not in a university and you don't have the money?
Exactly. And then we have to find out different professors who have for example the professors from Oxford or some other university which have access to those journals or free agreements. But then those professors have their own personal commitments, so it takes some more time in publishing that research. It took almost more than a year to publish the research in a journal which is a credible journal which has some impact factor. And these are one of the things.
Cool, man. I want to talk about your experiences in conservation in Pakistan. I know you've done a lot of cool stuff, so I'm always blown away. You're such a young man. How old are you, Bilal? 22?
25.
25?
Yeah.
You don't look a day over 22, my friend. You've been moisturising.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so you've done work with dolphins, right?
That's
In the Indus River.
So I mean, one of the freshwater dolphins is Ganges River dolphin and Indus River dolphin. So Ganges River dolphin is found only in the Ganges River and its tributaries, and the Indus River dolphin is only found in the Indus River and its tributaries, which is like Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj, in the past. Uh, During the 1960s and afterwards, I mean, the Indus River dolphin for most of during the time was considered a subspecies. But then, according to the researches by Professor Jill Brolick, who is the head of the IUCN Station Specialist Group, co-chair, of the Station Specialist Group, according to her research, after her research, it was proved that the Indus River dolphin is a separate species than the Ganges River dolphins, and it's only nowadays it has been extirpated from most of the rivers. Around 20 individuals are present in a small stretch in Beas River in India, which they discovered in 2010.
Wow.
Around 12 they discovered at that time, and now they are around 20, I guess. In Pakistan, Indus River dolphin is mostly present now in Indus River. It has been extirpated from the other tributary rivers. Many reasons. One of the reasons was the killing, and the other reason was the construction of dams. So construction of dam is the main cause of their range decrease. Now they are only limited in 3 subpopulations within the dams. So I was part of the WWF Pakistan's 5th comprehensive Indus River dolphin assessment survey, and then we traveled around 750 plus kilometers downstream in the Indus River, starting from the Chashma Barrage up to Gudu Barrage, for like around 1 whole month, around three weeks plus, and we do the surveys we slept on the islands within the Indus River. We spend our days on boats and then just surveying the dolphins, running the trail methods. It was an amazing experience. Like, you get to know how much supreme wildlife that you got, how many diversity of birds you got, how many diversity of freshwater turtles you got, what other animals you got, especially what is the interaction of local people with the wildlife, their traditional ecological knowledge. For example, during the survey, I was talking with a fisherman who used traditional techniques to hunt fish with a basket. So they use a basket to hunt fish in the shallow waters. I mean, it's very difficult thing which they do. I mean, just to in a certain amount of time, they just put that basket within water and they just catch the fish with the help of that. So the person was telling me that when I asked him that how many species of turtle are present in that particular area, and how you distinguish between them. So he was telling me that which turtle you are referring to, because I said, like, the freshwater turtle. What else? Like, there is maximum of 2 species of turtles, which is fun, because I'm not a turtle specialist, so that's why I thought that we might have only like 2 or 3 species of turtle. So he told me that we have 4 or 5, I guess he told me, and he said that one of the species, he lays its eggs on the hard surface, like on the hard soil. The one other's hard sand. One other species of turtle, it lays its eggs it lays its eggs and then cover it up. The other species of turtles, it lays its eggs on moist surface. The other species of turtle lays its eggs on just at the edges of the river banks. And he told me that how each species laid its eggs at the start of when the date tree got dates on it. At the same time, the turtle laid its eggs, and when the dates ripe, then at the same time the turtle hatchlings came out from the eggs. So they have associated the breeding of the turtle with the ripening of date and the producing of the date trees. And it was amazing to know how those people think of these animals, because I myself was unaware of these things which is related to these plant mechanisms and the how they connect different things in the nature. And then one of the person, when I told him that are we able to spot Indus dolphin in this particular stretch, which is like about Chashma Barrage, where the river is quite clear in color. So he told me like you are not going to find Indus dolphin here. And when I asked why, he said that the Indus dolphin usually hunts in the murky waters, and the water in this part of the river is a clean water, so you are not going to find the dolphin over there. I was like, one of the times I was astonished that on his thinking that how he associated with the dolphin with the murky waters, despite the fact that he never have a school education or whatever else. And one of the person I asked about the gharial, and what if we reintroduce gharial into this river, and he said that no, it's going to eat a person. I said, why? Because its snout is been narrow, it was not developed to eat a person. He said, no, I have seen in the TV, it just came out of the water and catch a person and go inside with that person. So he associated that particular gharial with the crocodile, which he has seen
Yeah.
in a TV somewhere in the
Yeah.
shop, like how the people have associated with these things with themselves. And then people, they use cranes to capture other cranes. They use birds to capture other birds within those rivers, and then they eat those birds. I mean, it's amazing how they do all kind of these things. Yeah.
Amazing. So when you're doing a dolphin survey, how do you actually survey for the dolphins? Like, what does that look like?
So we usually have two boats, and we run the transits, which you can say line transits.
Mm-hmm.
So one boat moves ahead, like around 2 kilometers apart. Usually at a distance when the other boat, the boat behind, doesn't see what's going on in front. Like if we spot a dolphin, then the boat behind us was not aware that we spot a dolphin or not. So what we do is that when we spot a dolphin, we mark the location as point 1 where we spot the dolphin. We mark the GPS location, like if we spot it there, we mark the distance and how far the dolphin is. And when that particular dolphin crossed our boat in the back, then we marked it again.
Yeah.
With the GPS coordinates, and then we note the reading on our data sheets. After that, during the evening time, we put that data sheet into the Excel. Then when we are moving forward, then the boat behind us, when they saw that particular dolphin, they also marked in the exact way, and we also put that data into Excel. And at the end, we compare those data to see whether we have missed any dolphin or what is the statistical variation, because obviously the observers changed with time. I mean, we run the observers after every 30 minutes, and also like the observers visibility also changed with time. So that's how when we compare those two observations, we take out mean of those to estimate any kind of errors within that. Sometimes we boat A, which is going forward, might see 10 dolphins, but the boat B, which is coming behind us, they might see like 8 or 7 dolphins, because one of the dolphins just take a deep dive. That's why. So these are the things which we usually how we do the surveys. And then yeah, we also note whether we saw a calf or a mother, an adult one or a calf, and what are the other threats to the dolphin that we saw. For example, any kind of river embankment, banks in the river, any kind of sand mining activities going on, and things like that.
Amazing. So what's the social structure of the dolphins like? Do they hang out in big family groups? Do they hang out alone?
We know very much little about the social structure of these dolphins. There is very little research done.
Yeah.
There is only one book ever published on these dolphins. It was by George Pellery, and it was also published in 1980s.
Wow.
There's not other work that has been done on the acoustics or the social structure. I mean, it's a whole area which needs to be explored. Apart from Dr. Jill Brolick's research, nothing much has been done. And what we saw is that sometimes we saw 2 dolphins, sometimes we saw 4 dolphins, sometimes we even saw 10 dolphins together. So we can't. Sometimes it was so the locals they usually believe that the males they were usually solitary, and the females were usually with their youngs, because they feed the youngs for like around 3 or 4 months or sometimes a year, and but we don't know anything about their particular social structure. They're not like the marine dolphins.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't jump like the marine dolphin. Just came a little bit on the surface, just to have their uh, what we call, sorry,
Breath.
for to take the breaths, just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have their air pipe on the surface and again going. They don't dive like the
Yeah.
marine dolphins, and then sometimes they don't follow your boats. Sometimes they do. I mean, we got 2 or 3 incidents during our survey when we thought that the dolphin is chasing us,
Oh wow,
chasing our boat.
amazing.
Yeah, but we don't know it for sure. I mean, yeah.
Hopefully not trying to sink it.
Exactly. And sometimes we don't think, the local fishermen told us that sometimes they associate their fishing techniques with the dolphins. So in the historical context, in the historical text, otters were used to hunt dolphins.
Otters.
Otters.
We used to hunt dolphins.
To hunt dolphins.
Really? No way.
Because in the past people used to hunt dolphins, and they used to have their blubber or oil
Yeah.
to paint their ships, to make their ships waterproof.
Wow.
They not the ships, I mean, to make their boats waterproof.
Oh yeah.
But the practice has gone away now because of the cheap availability of hydrocarbons within the market. So it's a good thing for the dolphins, obviously.
Yeah.
So now they don't do that, but in the past, what they used to do is they used to train otters. So otters used to hurl fish around in the shallow waters and make some splashes, and the dolphin, it was assumed, follow the splashes of the otter, because they thought that there is a fish over on that thing, and then when they go over there, the fishermen used to capture those dolphins by using this technique. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. So Bilal, I know you've also done some work with snow leopards.
I not long, not like quite large, but I like for a month or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So we work with the local communities, with the organization which is called Pakistan Wildlife Conservation Development Organization, BWCDO, and they do the community conservation work around snow leopards. They were the first organization within the snow leopard range countries who established protective corrals to reduce the snow leopard conflict, which has been decreased by up to 70%.
Wow.
So, and then they also introduced community livestock insurance and compensation schemes, which also reduce the conflict by a considerable amount, like 70-75%. And it has been taken as a model by the other range countries, like by Nepal, India,
Yeah.
Mongolia, and then now they are also trying to introduce the snow leopard tourism, which is quite popular in India but not in Pakistan. And they also do the trophy hunting and camera trap surveys for the snow leopards. Yeah.
So trophy hunting of the snow leopards or of the
No, of the
goats?
of the prey species, for
Yeah.
example, markhor and ibex.
Nice. Okay, we'll touch on trophy hunting a bit later on.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, and then you also, another animal you're interested in is gharial.
Yeah. So gharial.
Tell us more.
Sound more fascinating. Every time I told someone that I work on snow leopard, they were like, "Whoa!" And when I told them I work on gharial, they were like, "Oh, what species that was?" And I was like, "Okay." Yeah. So gharial has been extinct in the country from last 40 years.
Yeah.
And I took interest in them because I saw lots of them on Indus Valley civilization seals. So you have a gharial depicted on the Indus Valley seals, and it was considered as a symbol of fertility and good luck and a symbol of wealth within the Indus Valley civilization. And then when most of the time you see the gharial is often associated as something particularly with the Indus River. When I read from the old travelogues, for example, Alexander Burns, which was the first one who traveled upstream the Indus River, first one who done it particularly on the scientific merits, like they do many kind of research on their or findings on the Indus River at that time, like how much it's width, how much is its water level, how much is water flow,
Yeah.
each and every aspect of the Indus River. So he write it down that he saw gharials on the banks of the Indus River as much numerous as the goats on a surface of a
Wow.
pasture.
Wow.
And he writes it down that when we pass through them, they just simply slide away into the waters if we disturb them. And then when Emperor Babur came into India, and you read from his memoirs, so he mentioned an animal within the rivers which is as green as a parrot in color,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see it lying on the surface of the rivers, and when you try to disturb them, they jump into the river one by one, in a straight line, just like the turtles or some other kind of thing which you saw in the river. So that what fascinates me. There was a friend of mine, Phoebe Griffith. I ran on the Google about the gharial, and the name which came up was Phoebe Griffith because he got a National Geographic grant to do his research in Nepal. It's an amazing research which has a positive impact on. It has been adopted into the policy by the Nepal government.
Yeah.
And
So she's another WildCRU.
WildCRU person, yeah, WildCRU
WildCRU.
trial.
She's just finished a PhD.
She does finish her
Well done,
DPhil.
Phoebe.
Well done, Phoebe. Yeah, best of luck for the future. She's now doing her research, her postdoc on the freshwater megafauna in Berlin. So I contacted her on Instagram. So she's like a mentor to me,
Amazing.
and she was like amazing person, amazing sportive friend. And from that, I started to compile the historical records of gharial. So what we are doing now is we are trying to recreate the historical distribution of gharial within Pakistan, because we got gharials back from India.
Yeah.
Cool news. I mean, so India released around 90 of gharials in Hariki.
Mm-hmm. Is that near the border?
No, it's like 60 or 70 kilometers upstream of the border.
Okay.
It's in Beas River,
Mm-hmm.
where they also got some populations of Indus River dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
The gharials travel downstream from Beas into Satluj River,
Mm-hmm.
and then they travel downstream from Satluj into Pakistan.
Mm.
So now we got around 10 plus gharials in Pakistan,
Amazing.
which is amazing. But the thing is that river, its waters has been controlled by India, not by Pakistan, because of the Indus
Yeah.
water trading. So their existence depends pretty much highly on the
What happens in India?
policies in India. I mean, yeah, recently the India got lots of floods, and they released the water into the Satluj River, and they saw a 9 feet long gharial again in the river.
Wow.
So yeah, so hopefully what we are trying to find out is to do the historical mapping, and to try to find out the areas where they were used to be present before, to identify the hotspots where they can be reintroduced in the near future, because they are more gharials in the captive breeding centers than in the wild,
Yeah.
but there is not so much habitat left in India and Nepal. The sand mining is the main threat to them.
Mm.
Than the construction of dams. In Pakistan, the construction of dams is also already, I guess, caused the extinction of the gharial. But sand mining is not a major threat in Pakistan, because we don't have as much human population around the rivers as much as present in India.
Mm.
So hopefully we can be able to reintroduce them in the near future and increase their habitats in the near future. So, and the other thing which we were looking at is to run some sentiment analysis, to think how people perceive gharials in the past, what causes the change in their perception, and what are the positive aspects which they relate to gharial. For example, sometimes it's the thought of gharial as a creature, as a vehicle of some saint, and there are religious areas in Pakistan, mausoleums, what you can call, or you can say what religious buildings, where they kept crocodiles as sacred, and in the same way they retain gharial as sacred. So hopefully we can be able to see those sentiments and to promote those positive sentiments within the common people, and to address the issue. I mean, hopefully we can be able to have the gharial back in Pakistan in considerable numbers, and to be reintroduced into its former range. It's an edge species, which means that it's an ecologically distinct and globally endangered. You don't have anything else like that. If the gharial went extinct, you don't have any other animal like this, and it's a critically endangered species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would encourage our dear listeners to look up a picture of a gharial. I'll put the text of how you spell it in the description. But yeah, they're an amazing crocodilian. They have
Exactly.
big, long snout. They've got a big bulb on the end.
Yeah,
They just eat fish. It's like if a heron was a
exactly.
crocodile, right?
Europeans considered them as alligators when they came up. So in much of the old references,
Yeah.
they call it the fish-eating crocodile,
Yeah.
just as they called cheetah as the hunting leopard.
This is true.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for the cheetah, they use the word hunting leopard or
Mm.
the hunting dog, and for the gharial, they use the word fish-eating crocodile.
Amazing. What can you tell us about cheetahs in Pakistan?
Oh, it went extinct in 2001, but traditionally cheetahs were trained by the local rulers to hunt black buck, which is an antelope, which is native to South Asia, Pakistan, and India. It has been reintroduced. It has been introduced into Texas, USA, and some other countries where it's rebounds. Like there are more than 100,000 black bucks now in Texas alone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, it's extinct in wild in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So
I would love to visit some of these game ranches in Texas, where you just have like black bucks and you have scimitar horned oryx, which are like critically endangered in the wild. You've got tons in Texas.
yeah.
You've got what's the other one? Nilgai.
Nilgai.
Nilgai. They're just
Blue bull.
gigantic antelope things. And,
Exactly.
gosh, because like you had all of the Pleistocene megafauna, all the Ice Age animals 10,000 years ago that are now extinct, and like maybe there's some replicated ecological function from all of these Texas game ranches. I'm convinced, and I'm sure there must be a lot of rhinos.
Yeah,
It'd be perfect rhino country,
Yeah, so rhinos were present in Pakistan in 3800 century when Emperor Babur came in Pakistan from Afghanistan. So he saw the rhinos at the bank of the Indus River near at the banks of the Indus River in KPK.
Yeah.
Or at the banks of the Kabul River in Peshawar, and he hunted them over there. There are paintings of Babur hunting rhinos at the bank of River Indus, but now it's extinct in Pakistan and only restricted in Nepal and India, some states of India. But the cheetahs, they were like majestic animals, most majestic of all cats, I must say.
Yeah.
And a great companion. There were two type of games which we call. One is called big game, and the other one is called small game. So caracal, which is a small cat species, feline, mixed with long tufts of hairs on both of its ears.
Yeah.
People used to train caracals to hunt specifically small game, which include birds.
Yeah.
Most of the time birds, and then small antelope, which is called chinkara or gazelle. And they use cheetahs to hunt large game like blue bull, black buck,
Really?
and some other
Wow.
like mufflon sheep, or we have gharial.
Yeah.
So to hunt them, and they write books on how to capture a cheetah. They used to capture the adults instead of the juveniles, because they said the adults learn from their mother all the techniques how to hunt.
That's true.
But the juveniles were not able to train as much perfectly as you can train an adult. It was said that Emperor Akbar used to have 1,000 cheetahs in his personal hunting escort.
That's
royal
crazy.
hunting escort.
That's crazy.
And he tried to breed them, but it was not possible for it to breed.
Yeah.
I don't know how much positive it is, how much authenticated this reference is, but I heard like in the autobiography of Jahangir. So Jahangir is one of the kings in India. He was the father of the Shah Jahan who built the Taj Mahal. So Jahangir is considered as one of the highly revered Mughal emperors who is a wildlife biologist. He has his personal zoo the Royal Zoo, which is like a movable zoo. He took the animals with him wherever he goes.
Oh wow.
One of the best preserved, one of the best paintings of Dodo, which you got, is from Jahangir.
No way, really?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
present in a library in St. Petersburg library in Russia, I guess. And he also depicts one of the earliest paintings of Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese came and they brought him these
Wow.
two animals as a gift to Jahangir. Then you also got giraffes and other kind of
Yeah.
exotic animals in his personal royal pedigree.
Wow.
And he was the first emperor who bred swans in captivity and other kind of birds. And he mentioned each and every aspect in his personal notebook, which is published by the name of Jahangir Nama.
Mm-hmm.
He also was a hunter, a very avid hunter, and he used to record each and every hunt which he do. Like, this date I hunted these animals.
Mm-hmm.
Today on this date I saw this unique animal and I named that animal this. Things like that. And yeah, so he wrote a lot of these things. So cheetahs were trained highly in India, but I guess what causes their extinction is the retaliatory killing which Britishers imposed. That, so I got some records from 1985, I guess, in which it is written that if you kill a cheetah, you get 10 rupees as a inam, or
Like
as
a bounty.
as a reward, as a
Yeah.
bounty, because at that time the Britishers excavate canals.
Mm-hmm.
They were very much encouraging the canal-sized plantations, and agriculture was expanding.
Yeah.
The jungles were used to be cut down, so they call all of these animals as vermin, which needs to be eliminated.
It's crazy, and now the only cheetahs that aren't African cheetahs, the only Asiatic cheetahs that are in Iran.
They are
And how many are there? About 30 left, I
they
think.
are around 20 in number.
Yeah.
And sometime back, India asked Iran to give them the Asiatic cheetahs,
I think, yeah.
and Iran told India to give them the Asiatic lions in
Yeah.
return if they
Yeah.
want Asiatic
A fair
cheetahs.
trade.
A fair trade in 1970s, but it doesn't went well.
India, yeah. I mean, Gujarat state. They're in Gujarat, right?
So the interesting thing in that
Lions.
is that the lions in Gujarat, they are in the
Gir forest.
in the Gir forest, and Pakistan holds a claim on Gir forest because Gir was the part of Junagadh state,
Mm.
and Pakistan considered Junagadh as part of its own country
Yeah.
because they said that Junagadh's Nawab ceded this state to Pakistan at the time of partition, and then India sent the forces and captured the state,
Oh, wow.
just like the Kashmir one. So Pakistan
Yeah.
claims Junagadh as its own state,
That's
as its
interesting.
own part, and I believe that it's a good thing that Junagadh is part of the India because that's why the
Yeah.
lions are saved from extirpation. If they were the part of Pakistan, they might have
You might have
gone by now.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
Interesting.
it's a good it's a good thing. I mean, India is very much ahead of us in terms of wildlife conservation. They
Yeah.
were doing some amazing
Yeah.
work. They were amazing
Fair enough. Fair enough.
things going on in
Yeah.
India. Yeah.
Because I know, because even for other states within India, you know, like they ask Gujarat, like, can we have some lions? And Gujarat's
Exactly.
like, no way.
No.
And it's when politics gets ahead of conservation. This is when it gets dangerous, you know.
Exactly. And now they are far their carrying capacity, I guess. But hopefully in the near future, they relocate those lines somewhere else within Gujarat or
Yeah.
in other states of India. So
Were
one
they supposed to go to Kuno?
So, yeah.
Originally, that was designed as a lion park, right?
So the thing was that one of my friend Razak Kazmi, he's a natural historian from India. He wrote down an article on cheetahs with Divyashri Bano. So Divyashri Bano was a scientist who wrote the book The End of a Trail. I guess this is something like that. It's on the extinction of Asiatic cheetahs in India.
Yeah.
So he told me you can also watch it on the YouTube if you search on the Google, that in Kunu, when the Viceroy of India, Lord Curzon, I guess, or it was Lord Mountbatten, it was Lord Curzon, he went to the Kunu National Park. It was not the Kunu National Park at that time, but it was the state. He went to the Maharaja to hunt tigers. and he asked him that how much good was it is if you also got lions.
Mm.
So the Maharaja told him that he asked the Nawab of Junagadh to give me the lions, but he declined.
Mm.
So that's what the Lord Curzon told him that okay, so if you don't have lions, then import them from Africa. We shall help you in that.
Yeah.
So for that, the Nawab of that state, I forgot the name of the state. He ordered the lions from Africa. So it was the first transcontinental introduction of lions or transcontinental movement of animals, like not just the cheetahs but also from others. So they brought African lions over there, kept them in the enclosure, which is still present in Kunu, and then they released those lions, and those lions become man-eaters. Some of them went to eat the livestock of the villagers, and villagers retaliate in return. So they kept them, all the lions again, and how they captured them is that they spread the sticky papers on a large piece of land, like around 50 acres or so. You can check the correct details from the article which is published. And they roll those sticky papers on lines, and then they capture those lines and transfer them again into that particular enclosure, and then after some years they again release those lines, and they were again eaten up by the tigers. And then the last of the lines were shot down by the person who initiated the project at first.
So which year was this?
It was around 1920s.
1920s.
Yes.
It's about 100 years ago.
Yeah, 100 years ago.
Wow.
So it was Colonel Singh was the name of the person who handled this whole project, I guess. It is an interesting article. You can check it on the Google, like the lines reintroduced from Africa and India in 1920s, and you can get the whole article and the whole webinar on YouTube on this particular, the lions of Kunu National Park.
Amazing.
So it was a very exciting. It's not a new thing. And the current Asiatic cheetahs into the African cheetahs into the India. Personally, I guess it might not work, because the Asiatic cheetahs are much more habituated to the people around them than the African ones. They are much more brave. That's what caused their extinction at the first place. So most of the time, what I presume is that most of the time when you go, there is so much harmony or coexistence between human and animals in India than in Africa, that the African cheetahs are not going to survive in the long run. They are not adaptable at being present with high density of peoples. So if they are going to release them, one day or another, they are going to get there to the people's residence, and they might get shot down in return, or they might got stressed out because of seeing the huge amount of the communities which are present in India around those national parks. And then when you see the Kunu, it got tigers. And
cheetahs are going to get...
Cheetahs are no match for tigers. I mean, tigers are going to have them killed in a single strike.
I have to give my 2 cents as a cheetah biologist now, studying reintroduced cheetahs. So I haven't read much about Kuno, to my shame, considering I'm studying another reintroduced population.
So tell me about it.
So this
tell
is
me about your findings about cheetahs. Because let's do some podcasts of yours now.
So bearing in mind I haven't really kept up to date with it much. So from my view, I think it's worth a go.
Of course.
Cheetahs are absolute wussies. So they, like you say, like they'd get killed by a tiger in a heartbeat. You know, cheetahs get killed by lions a lot, by hyenas, by leopards. When you have 2 cheetahs sitting down, they'll always face head to tail, so they can keep an eye out for danger. So in that sense, and cheetah reintroductions, especially the first few cheetahs, they seem, at least sometimes, to have quite high mortalities. And obviously that turns people off, because you're like, oh my gosh, like, you put so much effort into these cheetahs and they're dying. But I would say we just need to give it some time. You know, this is about me reading much about it. I know there's obviously been a lot of deaths, but yeah, you give it some time. Hopefully, they've already had some babies. I don't know if any of them have survived. But
No, did I?
oh no. But yeah, my gut feeling, without having done reading about it, I would say just give it some time. I'm interested to see what happens. But I'm not gonna be bashing it, and I'm not gonna be saying I'm for it fully until I do my reading, which will happen after I've completed my master's degree.
Yeah, Africa don't have monsoons. I guess now one of the main reasons for cheetahs being died is the
monsoons,
humidity and the collars which were put around them, because those collars were not
monsoon
designed exactly, keeping monsoon in mind. And the humidity in the air and the monsoon is a factor which needs to be considered.
Yeah, so it's all a learning experience as well.
Exactly, and as I told, like in the past, people in India used to train cheetahs, and they devised methods of how to capture a cheetah perfectly.
Yeah,
I mean, they use carts, the bullock carts, the bulls and the carts at the back, and they used to hide themselves behind those carts. They used to dig up small underground pits and then cover it with grass, and then they were like perfectly adapted. They mastered the art of capturing a cheetah, and that's what caused their extinction when the Britishers came and they offered bounty on cheetah's head. Then the poor people, they were the first ones to go and hunt the cheetah and give it to the Britishers. Because previous to that, the royals usually patronized cheetahs. They considered them as state animals because it's a sport which is in their traditions, which is the mentioned in their texts, in the whole culture. So yeah, and now the African cheetahs, I don't think so that they survive in the long run. They might if they breed them with the Asiatic ones.
Yeah, but the thing with when people suggest that, like, those cheetahs aren't coming out of Iran anytime soon.
Exactly.
Nor should they really. Like, they've just started a breeding program finally.
Exactly.
So that effort should be put in that. So if you want cheetahs in India, like, realistically there'll be one of the types of, African cheetah.
Yeah.
And most realistically the ones in Southern Africa, because those are the ones that we've got the most.
And I guess we can also have the cheetahs reintroduced in Pakistan, but it would require, in Pakistan it would require the patronization of a wealthy person who can manage the whole process, the expenditures of this whole process.
Yeah, and it's not cheap.
Exactly, and then it might be, if not that, then the interest of a local landlord.
Yeah.
Or in Pakistan, we usually got tribes. So a local tribal leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay. Another animal you just showed me a video of before the podcast started was bears.
Yeah.
So you've got black bears and brown bears in Pakistan, am I correct?
Yeah, so we got two species. One is like Himalayan brown bears.
Yeah.
They are present in the northern areas mostly, in Gilgit-Baltistan region, in Deosai National Park, where we got 70 plus populations of brown bears. 70 plus brown bears in Deosai National Park.
Yeah.
And it's considered one of the highest concentrated population in South Asia. The others are the Asiatic black bears.
Yeah.
So there are two subspecies of Asiatic black bears. One is the Asiatic black bear and the other one is the Balochistan black bear. But some scientists considered Balochistan black bear as a separate species.
Oh wow, really?
From the Asiatic black bear. Some natural history books from 1920s, you can read these references that they thought of it as a different species, because Pakistan is such a unique country geographically. As we talked before, that the Indus River serves as the dividing line between the fauna and flora.
Yeah.
So it runs from the middle of the country, literally from the middle of the country.
Yeah.
And it divides the country into two geographic regions. I mean, on the east side, you got Indian fauna.
Yeah.
And on the west side, you got the Eurasian fauna.
Yeah. And even say with the leopard subspecies,
exactly.
That demarcating line between, on the west you've got the Persian leopards, and on the east you've got Indian leopards, right?
Yeah, and in the north you got the Tibetan leopard or whatever. I mean, yeah, exactly. And then for the wolves, if I can say, in the north you got the Tibetan wolf, on the or the Himalayan wolf. I must say the Himalayan wolf. Yes, on the north you got the Himalayan wolf. On the east part you got the Indian wolf, and on the west you got the Eurasian wolf.
Yeah.
So it's like a then as with the bears, the brown bears are in one side, the black bears are in other sides.
Yeah.
Similarly, we got many species of we got 4 subspecies of gharial, Punjab gharial. Punjab gharial is one which is found only in one particular mountain range, which is called Kalabag or Salt Range, and then the other one is the Ladakh gharial, which is only found on the Kashmir side of the region. The third one is the Afghan gharial, which is only found in the border with Afghanistan in the Turkar mountain range. And the fourth one is the Blandford gharial, which is found in the Kirthar mountain range in Sindh. So like each mountain range act as a barrier to the movement of these ungulates or other animals.
So gharial is like a mountain goat, mountain sheep.
Mountain sheep is a mountain sheep. And for the mountain goat, we got Sindh ibex in Sindh, which is a separate species. Then we got Himalayan ibex in the northern areas, which is a separate species.
Yeah.
And if you talk about markhor, then we got Flarehorn markhor in the north, Suleiman markhor in the Afghanistan border. So like these mountain ranges act as a barriers to species movements and thus increase the speciation.
Nice. So I want to talk about
of course the Indus dolphin is only found in the Indus River.
Exactly.
And I believe that the gharial is also different one than the one found in the Ganges. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, have a drink. Everyone else stay hydrated as well. Okay, so I want to talk about the markhors, but just before that, you mentioned bear baiting.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, what can you say about the state of bears in Pakistan?
The major threat, apart from the habitat degradation that bears has, is the bear baiting. So we need to understand that bears were the part of the culture from centuries. You got records of bears from 1000 BC.
Yeah.
Usually, Sufism is associated with bears. Sufism or spiritualism. They give example of bears in the Sufi literature or the mysticism literature, because they said that when you tamed your inner self, it's just the taming of the inner self, of your wishes and of your internal self, is just like a person tamed a bear.
Yeah.
Because it's very much difficult to tame or train a bear, and you need to work on that particular bear when it was a small child. You put ring in his nose, and you have put it thread, because the nose of the bear was the most sensitive part, and then they used that to train the bear to perform different kind of tricks, especially the bear dance, which was the part of the culture. I mean, during my childhood, we were very happy as children when a bear came in our area. I mean, when a bear trainer, it brings the bear and it dance on that particular apparatus dum dum, which the bear dancer played, and then children used to sit on the back of the bear to ride the bear for some amount of time. I mean, it was considered a very what I can say, not the cultural thing, but it was considered as a famous thing to be remembered by the children in our countries. And those bear dancers, they used to take the bear around the whole area to take some things in return, like for example, if they dance the bear in front of some house, then the household, the woman or the children from that household might give him some flour or some other small amount of money to because he showed them the trained bear dance. Where the thing start to happen is that when the Britishers came, so bear baiting was a time famous time killer, or what you can say, pastime
Mm-hmm.
in the British culture. If you can see, the bear baiting rings have been established in Britain in 1500, even in 1300.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Britishers came to India, they also bring this bear baiting with them, and people trained special dogs to do the bear baiting, do the bear and dogs fights. Most of the time, they just put out the uh, nails from the bear's claws.
Yeah.
They pick up the claws out. They pick up the teeth of the bears, so that the bear cause limited harm to the dogs, but the dogs can cause the much more harm. So bear baiting is still present within the country. The bears were taken as cubs. Usually the mother has been killed, and then those bears were raised by the people, which we called kalandars. So, and those bear baiting events were patronized by the local landlords most of the time. Bear baiting is illegal in the country, but it's still happening around the country.
Crazy. Do you have any population estimates?
Uh, as I told you, the brown bears were 17 number,
Yeah, yeah.
and for the black bears, they might be 200.
Wow.
I don't know the exact estimates now.
Mm.
So, there was an organization which is called Berkshire Wildlife Conservation Society. It was established as a center for the bears which were confiscated from the bear baiters
Mm-hmm.
or the bear dancers. And that organization, it's called Bioresource Research Center, BRC. What they did is that they run some campaigns, but they specifically target the religious leaders within those particular areas where the bear baiting was present. They reach out to those religious leaders, and those religious leaders, they reach out to people during their weekly sermons, which they have weekly gatherings, and they put emphasis on how much important it is to protect bears and how much uh, sinful is the act of having bear and dog fights. And then they got those bear baiters, they confiscate the bears from them, put them in the sanctuary which they built, which is around 100 plus acres in size, and then they hired those same bear baiters to have those look after those bears which they got.
That's really cool.
And then most of the time, because it's not possible to hire everyone, so they provide them with alternative livelihoods like a small shop,
Mm.
a small business, or other kind of thing. A, two or three cows might be, one or two cows. So they use this approach, and now bear baiting has been reduced almost 90% within the country.
Yeah.
The areas where bear baiting is still present are those where there is less law enforcement, because those are the tribal areas.
Mm-hmm.
The local police has little access to those areas because of the local leaders or the things like that, and they are difficult to reach through talent. And yeah, the bear dancing is still present, but most of those bears are tagged.
Mm-hmm.
So the wildlife department knows,
Yeah.
well, a new bear came in, or that
Okay.
they have captured a new bear.
Yeah.
So they challenge them and confiscate the bear and put them in the Berkshire Sanctuary.
Cool.
There still need to be to raise a public awareness. Like I show you the video of a bear which was shot down in with 2 bullets in the back
Yeah.
just this last week,
Yeah.
because people were not aware of the importance of the bears, and just thought it to be something to be feared of. There is very little research going on these animals in the country, as I told you, there are people who are doing research, but they do not publish it because of the access to the peer-reviewed journals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was fascinated by, yeah, you know, one former panther,
Mm-hmm.
Alexander is his name.
Mm-hmm. So the context, a panther is on Bilal's course. The students are called panthers. So a previous student here at WildCRU at Oxford.
Yeah, so he was from the first batch, 2009 batch.
Oh yeah? Where was he from?
He was from Albania.
Albania, nice.
So he's doing research on bears, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess in Albania or in somewhere else, they have established bear feeding spots and then bear tourism.
Mm-hmm.
In India, bear tourism is doing amazingly well.
Mm-hmm.
So there is need to establish those kind of tourism ventures within the country to help increase the awareness to these animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally myself want to go and visit bears eating at a certain kind of place.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I would recommend. So when I went to India, like doing some backpacking with friends when I was 18, we heard of a charity called Wildlife SOS, I believe they were called.
exactly.
And they do the same thing you described with the bears. Instead of the black bears, it's sloth bears.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go see the sloth bears. Obviously, everyone else wanted to go see elephants. So we went to go see their thing with elephants, their sanctuary. But yeah, the same thing. Like when the elephants are all chained up, they rescue them, and then the previous elephant keepers they then employ to look after the elephants.
Amazing.
But they do the same thing with the bears, and it sounds incredible. So
Exactly. It's
yeah,
amazing.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, yeah, exactly. In India, they are doing amazingly well. As I told, I shall talk about it after some time back after about the wildlife in India. I mean, it's amazing. The sloth bears, the things like that. They even have a cheetah. They even have a leopard population of around, I guess, 40 individuals or 14 individuals on a hill, and they have developed it into a tourism hotspot for the
really?
leopards. Yeah,
Wow.
in Rajasthan, I guess.
Amazing. Where in Rajasthan, do you know?
You can check it. It's Arwali Hills or something like that.
Okay.
But you can just type the leopards in Rajasthan, and
Amazing.
it's amazing. I mean, how they develop this into a kind of tourism spot. Yeah,
Amazing. Nice. Cool. Okay, onto the Marco, onto the trophy hunting.
yeah,
Bilal, so obviously most people listening to this will think, trophy hunting is the antithesis of conservation,
yeah.
but they're not necessarily mutually exclusive.
Exactly.
And they can work to the same ends, and
Yeah,
hunting can be a strong tool for conservation,
yeah, exactly.
which is a matter of research here at WildCRU. And all across the world the debates often focus on Africa,
Yeah,
and in the UK now they're debating motions, and there's a very poorly drafted bill to try and ban the import of all hunting trophies, which we had the Minister for the Environment for Botswana, which has extremely large chunk of the world's elephant population,
yeah.
come to Parliament and say, look, this is a really bad bill. Hunting is how we support our conservation, and by banning it, you're hurting us. And we were fortunate enough to receive the minister and some of our entourage here at WildCRU, which was amazing.
Yeah,
So, yeah, Pakistan has a strong aspect of trophy hunting with your markhor, the national animal,
yeah.
and I know that's something you're very passionate about. So what could you tell us, and how does it help conservation?
So that's amazing question and the need of the day. Like nowadays, when the trophy hunting bill has been going out, I mean, it's in UK, the legislation. The irony is that the UK was the country who harvested the most number of animals from their former colonies, and now when it's time for the former colonies, to have them paid to hunt the animals, then they are going to ban the hunting of all kind. I mean,
Yeah.
This is the irony in this particular thing. What the archaeologists sometimes call repartitions, or give back the things which you take. Other thing is that most of the lawmakers which are behind that bill, like Born Free Foundation, they have never been to the countries where trophy hunting take place and has a positive impact. For example, in case of trophy hunting, all of the time the example which was given was from Africa, as you said, but not a single time any mention of countries from Asia has been given, like from Pakistan, for example, which is a pioneer in community-based trophy hunting in the world, I must say.
Yeah.
Not in the region, but in the world. I personally am not in favor of like trophy hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, you can't kill a goose which lay the golden egg unless and until you have a substitute or an alternative to that egg.
Yeah.
This is what I think of. And you can't stop trophy hunting with the stroke of a single pen. It is present within the blood of those indigenous communities from centuries. You see animal depictions on rock art from those areas where they depict the hunting of animals for food. Obviously, for food, not but for the trophies at that time. But the trophies were used to be given to the shrines. They were used to put on the shrines as offerings to gods and goddesses in those communities. So it's part and parcel of the culture. What is here is that you have put up a monetary value on that thing, which is obviously a kind of good thing, that it has reduced the amount of hunting in those areas. In case of Pakistan, it was started in 1992, and yeah, in 1992 or 1994, around that time, the first ever ibex hunting was taken place. It was around, the person was charged with 5,000 US dollars, I guess, at that time, or 25,000 Pakistani rupees. And the governor of the KPK has hunt down the first trophy of ibex. How trophy hunting is different in Pakistan than Africa is because in Africa you got middlemen. Most of the time, the chunk of the money of the fees has been taken by the middleman, and very small amount of the trophy hunting fees went into local communities, which range from 8% to 20%, right? If I'm not wrong. But in Pakistan, 80% of the fees went into local communities, and 20% just go into the local wildlife department. So how it works in Pakistan, we call markhor. I gave you the example of markhor,
Mm-hmm.
which is the national animal of Pakistan. It's one of the largest mountain goat species in the world.
And they've got beautiful curly
Spider-shaped horns, exactly.
Everyone look them up. The cover picture.
They were like the prime prey of snow leopards. So just imagine the snow leopard lives in more than 4,000 meter high elevations. The markhor is also lived more than 7,000, not 7,000, but 4,000 meter higher elevations. Extreme environments. So it's a very beautiful ungulate. When you heard this, when they crack their horns during the rut season, you hear this sound, is like amazing. So it's an endangered species. So the permits are regulated by the CITES. CITES issued the number of permits which needs to be hunted to Pakistan. Every year around 12 of them are issued. Pakistan is only allowed to have the hunting of 12 markhors in a year. It's a very few number compared to what you got in Africa. I mean, you can go to hunt an elephant for like $40,000, and you get the whole package of that. You are allowed to kill 10 the deers which are present in Africa, in those impalas. 10 impalas, you are allowed to kill 10 impalas, or you are allowed to kill 10 bush bugs or whatever else, things like that. 10 kurus and things like that. So IUCN issues the hunting permit, 12 in total in number. Now in Pakistan we got Ministry of Environment, which decides decides the quota for each province. So each province usually got 4 permits. Markhor is present in 3 provinces: Gilgit Baltistan, KPK, and Balochistan. So each of these 3 provinces got 4, 4, 4. Now the provinces sets the amount of fee for each trophy. Average amount of fee is $100,000 for one Markhor. It varies. It's the average fees. Now you have middleman here, which is we called the bidder, or we call them the trophy hunting license companies, which buy the license from the government, or sometimes a hunter can buy it directly from the government. It if it's a local hunter, then he mostly buy it by itself. If it's a private company, then he buys the permit from the government, and then the hunter has to pay to the company, and then the company has to cover the whole arrangements for the hunter to go and to secure a hunt. 90% of the hunts are mostly successful. So the highest amount paid for the Markhor was $160,000 for a single Markhor.
Wow.
80% of that went into the local community. Now just imagine that 80% going into local community for that.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Especially that would go far in Pakistan.
Especially in Pakistan, where those communities where the trophy hunting of Markhor has been done only in the community-based organizations, which are outside the national park.
Yeah.
Not within the national park. And those communities in which they have community-based organizations or CBOs, like 2 or 3 villages, they built a single organization, and then if the hunt has been done in that particular region, 80% of the amount was taken by the communities from those particular villages. 20% went to the local wildlife department, who used that amount to pay for the monthly payments of the watchers, or to have some vehicles or other kind of patrols for the watch or patrolling the area. And most of the times those rangers were recruited from within those same communities. So that a part of that 20% is also going into the local communities one way or the other. The communities use those 80% of the money which they got in whatever respect they want. So mostly they have established committees for the CBOs, and those committees decides where to put that money. Sometimes they give it as interest-free loans to the local people. Sometimes they provide the money as compensation to the livestock if snow leopard kills the livestock. What has this done? Sometimes they use it to construct schools, maternity care hospitals, roads within those mountain environments, agricultural systems, water drainage, drinking water facilities. They even established a power plant to generate electricity. So, I mean, what it has caused the increase in number of populations of Markhor from just 1,000 to more than 5,000 in like 2 decades. And then also the number of tolerance of people towards snow leopards has also increased. Previously, anyone can go and hunt a Markhor, but now if a person goes out and hunt a Markhor, the whole community boycott that person. And that person has to pay the price for that sometimes. And when a hunter go on a hunt, all of the local hunters, which were used to be the hunters in the past, have now become guides to the hunter. And when the hunter go to hunt the Markhor, it's not just that the hunter has to pay the trophy fee of the Markhor, but he also has to pay to the people which go with him on the hunt, to the porters, taxidermist, cook. Like, it's a whole thing involved. He has to pay much more than that $160,000. He has to pay 10,000 or 20,000, much more than that for the locals which go on it. He is allowed to, I guess, fire only 3 shots, and only the Markhors which are which surpass their prime breeding age are allowed to hunt. So you can tell the age of the markhor from these spirals in their horns. So only adult markhor is allowed to hunt which has surpassed its breeding age, because the wildlife department said that it helps to improve the genetic diversity and to bring much younger markhor to be the leader of the herd and to mate with all the females.
Yeah.
The meat of the markhor is distributed among the people who go on the hunt. The hide of the markhor was usually given to some wealthy nobleman within the area, and the hunter gets the trophy of the markhor. That's how it works within the country. Given the fact that this money has been spent to construct schools, now the literacy rate has increased more than 75%.
Wow.
Especially for the girls after the coming of the trophy hunting, because now the people has much more interaction with the international people with the help of that trophy hunting. So it has contributed significantly in the conservation of markhors. Now you can see them in the orchards of the people or in the garden of the people, and people let them eat the fruits from their trees freely because they know the value of that markhor. There was a huge cry from the local people that snow leopard is eating the markhors.
Yeah.
And each markhor is worth that much. So now what the local department did is that he associated the markhor hunting with the snow leopard sightings within the conservation area, within the CBOs. So if CBO has been found to kill a snow leopard, he was not allowed to hunt the markhor for next 2 or 3, I guess, years. It's quite interesting aspect to be looked into that particular thing. Yeah.
Amazing. So, yeah, I hope that's hopefully demonstrated the value that hunting can have, and that it's not all bad. It's not all bad.
You can't buy a goat which is worth $160,000 anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And if people don't want it to happen anymore, then give them $160,000 for each goat whose life you want to spare. Amazing.
Exactly. Those
the money's got to come from somewhere.
Animal rights activists to say that. So
give us the money.
So we have an extensive debate in wildlife circles within Pakistan, in which the animal rights organization said, why you are going to kill the animal, why you are giving the $160,000 just to kill an animal, but not apart from that. If they won't ask you about $160,000, then you don't give it for free, or you gave it for hunting that animal. So when we ask them, okay, these are the permits, these are 12 permits, right? Given the fact that each permit costs around $100,000, it's just $1.2 million. So give the money and take the permits and let them don't hunt. And they were like, why we do that? And when you have to pay the money, then you must pay for just the conservation, not the killing of them. These are baseless claims which they were putting up. One way or the other, what I believe is that the trophy hunting is going to kill itself in the end.
Yeah, I'll say.
Because with trophy hunting, you are increasing the education within that particular area. And if you focus on the education aspect, and you focus on the spiritual or the cultural values of the animal, then the upcoming generation might not think markhor as a thing of commodity, but they just think it as a part of their culture and nature. And then you have much more spiritual value for the markhor than the monetary value. Then people might not hunt them, because then you get more tourists in the area and much more people coming up to see those markhors. And then of course we got biodiversity credits and carbon credits.
Yeah, that'll be a thing on the horizon to look out for.
Exactly.
Nice, man. So other things you wanted to talk about included traditional ecological knowledge, which we've touched on a bit with the fishing, and then the breeding of cranes and falconry. So I was wondering, is there anything you want to share?
Yeah, so just like the markhor trophy hunting, Pakistan is also famous for Hobara mustard.
Oh, the Hobara bust. Hobara. Yeah, these big birds, right?
Big birds, the famous hunts of the Arab sheikhs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a whole business Hubara diplomacy, what we call it in Pakistan.
Oh wow.
So Arab sheikhs from UAE, Saudi Arabia, they came to hunt Hubara busters. They have large mansions in the country, in those areas where they hunt the Hubara. And it has been banned by India.
Mm-hmm.
It's a critically endangered bird, that's why. But Pakistan allows its hunting just to maintain good diplomatic relations with the Gulf states.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the corrupt politicians from Pakistan, they got heavens in those Gulf states when they have cases of corruption against them within the country.
Ah, I see.
And the Arabs, they hunt Hubara because they thought of it as something of aphrodisiac properties.
Damn.
And they hunt it with falcons.
Yeah.
The falconry is the national sport in most of the Arab countries, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's also UNESCO World Heritage. So that's why they usually hunt these Hubaras. So falconry is a like traditional thing in the country, mostly in the tribal areas. They usually use goshawks and peregrines to hunt the birds.
Cool.
But the animal organizations, they are also putting a stop on the falconry imports within the country, just to discourage the falconry. But I think it's a part of the culture. It's part of the poetry. So it's a healthy sport which needs to be done. And in the same areas, the people trained cranes to do the competitions, in which they usually put the cranes together, and the one crane which sings, or which put up the loud voice, wins.
Oh well.
So they also used them to, because they thought of the if a lady who has a nice shoulder hairs and nice features in his body, he got a nice long neck, and he is associated with the neck of a crane, because the crane's neck, the Mosley crane's neck is quite like a S-shaped and delicate neck. That's why it's called one of the beauties. And it's also considered as a symbol of love. They said that the cranes pair for their whole life.
Yeah.
And there's a poetry which is like Yar bina main anj kurlama jinj vichran kunj katara, which means if I became separated from my beloved, then I going to cry in the same way as a crane cries when he became separated from his flock. So its cry or its sound is also considered very soothing or very heart-touching sound.
Yeah.
So people train those cranes to capture the other cranes. They use different methods. Sometimes a lead bullet is used with a string. So when the cranes fly low near the rivers where they usually come down, the locals pull the lead bullet with the string in the sky, and if it got captures in the wings of the crane, then they pull him down while flying, and then they place them in the cages. Those people, they also breed those cranes, which is quite unusual because those were not their breeding grounds. Their breeding grounds are in Siberia.
Yeah.
But those people, they still breed those cranes in captivity. And it's still a mystery that how they breed them in captivity.
Wow. So what do they do with the cranes?
Huh?
Do they eat the cranes, or what do they do?
Sometimes they eat.
Yeah.
Sometimes they keep them as pets.
Okay.
Yeah, so keeping them as ornamental pets, I mean as pets, is the most sought after thing in those areas. But people also eat cranes. In India, however, it's completely different. In India, in the Rajasthan area, they put large amount of grain outside in the fields for the cranes to feed upon, and you can see amazing sightings of crane feeding in one of the cities of India, Indian Gujarat, which I forgot the name. But yeah.
Don't worry. Nice. Amazing. Cool. So coming near to the end of our talks about conservation in South Asia, you wanted to just touch on it, I guess, on a wider context. So with Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and talk about transboundary conservation as well, which is a favourite topic of one of my supervisors, Mohammed, and I know you've been chatting a lot with Mohammed for Hadinia as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, share your thoughts.
So I mean, Conservation is not going to be impactful unless and until it's connected across the whole the countries. Being part of the South Asia, Pakistan share many of its species
Mm.
with its other range countries. I mean, any of the what we can say flagship species or any of the attractive species which we got in Pakistan, for example, markhor or brown bear, black bear, snow leopard, whatever, common leopard, we share those species with our neighbors. So it's better to focus on the transboundary conservation now if we really want to conserve the local fauna and flora, local wildlife of the region, because it's always connected together. Those animals, they don't have any borders.
Yeah.
It's just us which we have created them.
Yeah.
There needs to be lots of research between both the countries of Pakistan, India, Iran, China, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, to see how the animals move around the borders and how much time they spend across. Even in fact, joint studies should be the priority of the conservationists within both the countries. Afghanistan is completely unexplored.
Mm.
WCS has tried to do the work over there, but it has been stopped after the coming of the Taliban.
Mm.
So it's all a blank sheet which needs to be explored, and whoever goes to Afghanistan to develop his career is going to be the master of that region in the future, because now is the time to invest in the wildlife of Afghanistan, especially the Khan corridor which connects Central Asia with South Asia, which is the region between Afghanistan, Pakistan, China and Turkmenistan.
Wow.
Then there is a huge potential for trophy hunting for those economically depressed communities which live in those areas. I have seen pictures of Marco Polo sheep, which is the largest sheep, wild sheep in the world,
Wow.
and so most sought after sheep.
Mm-hmm.
I see the photos in hundreds of Marco Polo sheep in Afghanistan,
Wow.
but the locals don't know the exact value of those sheep, so they just hunt them for the meat and that's all. But if you hunt them for the trophy and you have the foreign hunters coming up to hunt them, paying $100,000 to the local communities,
Yeah.
then even in those hunts the meat went to the people which go on the hunt together. So it's, I think, not a big deal, and it should be a huge economic incentive for those communities. Given the area, given the things in Iran,
Mm-hmm.
I mean the current bargain, the international sanctions on Iran.
Yeah.
If Iran and Pakistan, or Iran, Pakistan and India, they cooperate with each other, then they can do some pretty good research even without the help of the Western nations,
Yeah.
because they still got lots of things together. I have never seen any paper, any joint publication between the researchers from India or Pakistan,
Mm.
or from the researchers from India and from Pakistan and Iran
Mm.
on the species which we share. There is very little on the cross-border conservation. But if you go to the Europe, I mean, the wolves in Italy are as much as important as wolves in Germany or wolves in Spain. I mean, the bears in Albania are as much as important as the bears in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
So there needs to be the more interaction between these two countries.
Absolutely, and I think in that sense, the gharial is coming from India.
It's
It's an
an
opportunity.
excellent opportunity for trans-border conservation. I mean, there's a need for that. Snow leopard, it becomes. So nobody knows how the snow leopards move. Whether the populations in Nepal made their way into the population into Mongolia. Nobody knows that, because nobody has done any studies on that, like whether these snow leopards do long-term
Yeah.
migrations or not.
Yeah.
Because what I believe is that the snow leopards which are found in Gilgit-Baltistan area of Pakistan might be only found in Indian side of the subcontinent, as with the other species of leopard,
Yeah.
and the snow leopard in Chitral might have been found in the Mongolian side of the of the continent. I mean, it's still a mystery to do the cross border things,
Yeah.
and there still needs to do, and there needs to be more research exchange. There are more conservationists, trained conservationists in India
Yeah.
than in Pakistan. We can learn so much from their expertise. Similarly, Iran, trophy hunting is not a thing in India.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that India is going to introduce trophy hunting because of the religious
Yeah.
persons. Because in Hinduism, they don't believe in killing of the animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like cows, for example. There's an interesting thing in that. So, blue bull
Yeah.
is endangered or vulnerable in Pakistan. But in India, it's least concern.
Mm-hmm.
And when the wheat season comes and the wheat ripes,
Mm-hmm.
the blue bulls was considered as a pest.
Mm.
What the Indians do is that they open up the gates of the borders and they herd them towards Pakistan.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow,
And
that's handy.
so this is causing their sustenance in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Most
wow.
of the wildlife in the Punjab region of the country that you found is in the border region of Pakistan and India.
Wow.
Because there is a higher protection because of the security.
Yeah.
The hunters are not able to hunt,
Mm.
and the populations were supplemented from India.
Amazing. Ooh, that's
And
awesome.
exactly. And then in Sindh, we got private hunting reserves
Mm.
where they got animals like black bucks, chinkaras, blue bulls,
Yeah.
and other kind of migratory birds, which the local landlords just hunt. And they are privately owned, and no one was dare to hunt any animal in it without the permission of the landlord. So, I mean, these kind of things. Pakistan is a perfect example in trophy hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Iran can learn so many things from us in terms of trophy hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, India is perfect example for community-based tourism.
Mm.
And Pakistan can learn so many examples from India in terms of snow leopard tourism and brown bear tourism in the country.
Cool. So, Bilal, just to wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to hear a bit more about your varied career, all the different organisations you've been with, and I guess we've organised it in chronological order, more or less. So, you're part of an organisation called Reserva, the
Yeah,
Youth Land Trust.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the amazing reserve, the Youth Land Trust. It's not. I did not call that an organization. I called it a family.
A family.
A family, because the amount of love and respect and a kind of joint feeling which I got from Reserve. I did not find it from anywhere else apart from WildCRU. But of course, my interaction with WildCRU is quite new. It's like
Yeah.
7 months. But with Reserve, it's been 2.5 years since I am associated with Reserva.
Mm.
And we established world's first completely youth-funded nature reserve in Ecuador,
Mm.
in the Andean cloud forest.
Yeah.
Which is like around. We established it at first around 120 acres, and now we have expanded it up to 1,200 acres, and now we are building a marine protected reserve.
Wow.
In future.
What, in Ecuador?
No, we don't know where marine is, but marine one is going to be in Panama, I guess.
I don't know.
And now we are looking for another land reserve in Colombia.
Oh.
But
sure.
we have not decided a site yet.
Exciting.
It might be Colombia, it might be Indonesia, it might be Philippines. We don't know. We shall
Exciting.
decide
Yeah.
together. So we have our meetings, bi-weekly meetings, and then we have other stuffs.
Amazing.
Alex
Yeah.
Collins, so he's a great friend of mine from Reserva.
He's one of my classmates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's your classmate. And then we have Satvika Krishnan.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing her bachelor's.
Yeah. Lady Margaret Hall.
Lady
Yeah,
Margaret
also,
Hall,
yeah.
exactly. She's also
Yeah.
quite friend. And then James McLough. He's the president of Oxford Athletic
Mm-hmm.
Club, I guess.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
and he's also a friend of mine from Reserva.
Awesome.
So it's amazing that we got around 60 people from 50 plus countries around the world, and it's amazing at how we engage it.
Amazing.
And then second one was
Conservation
optimism. So I established the Pakistan Hub of Conservation Optimism, and one of the main reasons behind establishing the Pakistan Hub is because of they already have an Indian hub.
Mm-hmm.
So the main essence behind that was to establish something in Pakistan, with the help of which we can interact with our Indian colleagues.
Yeah.
So Munib Khanayari and Trisha Gupta, they were both students in Oxford.
Is he doing snow leopards, right?
Munib has
Really?
completed his PhD, but not on snow leopards, but on mountain ungulates.
Yeah.
But he was part of the snow leopard network and the
Yeah.
and NCF. So
I haven't met him personally, but we've texted a bit, I believe.
oh, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So Trisha Gupta, he is doing his research on the sharks and rays in India. So we started to do bridging border series of webinars.
Amazing.
So what was our main thing in that was to bridge the gap between Pakistan and India and to bring the conservation scientists closer together.
Yeah.
So we arranged webinars. One of our webinars was on bears, in which we invited speakers from Pakistan, India, Iran and Afghanistan
Wow.
together.
Amazing.
I mean, just to cover this whole area together
Yeah.
in a single webinar. It was an amazing webinar. And then we got one webinar on dolphins, Indus River dolphin and Ganges River dolphin. So one speaker from India on
Yeah.
Indus River dolphin, one speaker from Pakistan on Ganges River dolphin.
Amazing.
Then we did another webinar which was on the freshwater ecosystems. It was on World River Days. So we got one speaker who gave presentation on Indus Delta and the other speaker who gave presentation on Ganges Delta. And then we got another webinar which was on the mountain communities.
Yeah.
So we got two speakers from India, one from Kashmir and one from Ladakh.
Wow.
And we got two speakers from Pakistan, one from Kashmir and one from Gilgit-Baltistan to cover our whole northern areas biodiversity. Then one other webinar which we got is in which we got speaker from Pakistani Thar and from Indian Thar. It was like the amazing series which we run for the 5 or 6 webinars which we got. It was an amazing and memorable experience. It was very much appreciated by the people from both the countries. I mean, now we have lost our that momentum because I came to UK now, and so I am giving less time to conservation optimism. But it was an amazing thing which we done. I am the one thing I am proud of myself in conservation optimism is this bridging border series which I have done. Yeah.
Well done, man. Well done.
Yeah, it's always amazing. I mean, only these borders and these politicians are what caused the divide between Pakistan and India. Otherwise, the people, they are very much friendly with each other. I personally got more Indian friends in Oxford than I got Pakistani friends. And always we are so much positive with each other, and we always try to help each other in every aspect.
Yeah. That's lovely.
I got some amazing friends in India,
Yeah, nice. So obviously now you're here in Oxford.
Yeah, exactly.
And with WildCRU. So yeah, tell us about your experience. How have you found it so far?
Amazing.
What's the Panther program like? The WildCRU diploma. How did you find WildCRU?
Amazing, man. Amazing. Yeah. Initially, it was like a kind of a cultural shock. Culture is very much different from Pakistan and India.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is just into itself. Nobody has any time. But at the start, but when they become a good friends, then they have lots of time.
Yeah.
Like we are doing this thing from last 2 hours now, I guess.
Yeah, over 2 hours. Yeah.
So that's the thing. But yeah, exactly. I learned so many new things. In Pakistan, in most of the universities, you don't have such kind of interaction between you and your professor. I mean, I saw Professor Claudio Silero. I was calling him Professor Claudio in every message.
Yeah.
And then one day he messaged me and said, "Don't ever call me Professor. Just call me Claudio." Understand? I was like, "Yes, Claudio."
Yeah.
And then David McDonald is like a gentleman, man. I mean, he's amazing. I have never seen such humble person and such encouraging person like David McDonald anywhere before. I mean, he's the pioneers of wildlife conservation in UK and in whole of the world.
Yeah.
But still, that man is so much humble, and
he is a gentleman.
He's a gentleman. He's like really, he's amazing. He's the founder of WildCRU, so it's amazing. Myself being like the first one from Asia and the only person from, the first one from Pakistan. During the whole WildCRU, from the time the WildCRU established in 1986, I am the first one from Pakistan to be here. and the only Asian this year. So itself, I mean, it's amazing that how WildCRU has accepted me. Then everyone is amazing. Professor Amy Dickman, she's amazing. Alexandra Zimmerman is amazing. I mean, everyone, Dara,
Yeah.
Jamie, Krishan, Jenny, my fellow Panthers, all of them amazing. And the real essence of wildlife is that you came to connect with people from around the world,
Yeah.
which you might have never done before in your life, and might not be able to do so except for the WildCRU. I mean,
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Singye is amazing.
Singing is amazing.
Luciano,
We love you,
Luca.
Luciano.
I mean,
Yeah.
everyone is amazing. Sorry if I did not speak any
We love
other
everyone
people's
from
name, but
WildCRU.
I
You're
love
great.
we love everyone from WildCRU. We are not going to
We're one big family.
we are we're like a family. We're not going to leave
Yeah.
you alone.
And WildCRU has sick parties, especially you Panthers. Like,
Ah.
anytime we're at like a little mini conference or a
Mini conference,
symposium,
something like
if somebody
that.
puts some music on, like,
Exactly.
you guys are dancing
We are
straight away.
dancing.
It's so
And
fun.
you don't got such kind of accommodation anywhere in Oxford.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the place where we live in WildCRU is like 1500 something.
Yeah. The
It's
main
a-
buildings from the 1500s, and then where
This-
the Panthers live, where we're sitting now, is renovated stables.
Stables of
So,
horses.
I think they used to be very derelict, but
And
they've
we
made
do-
it nice now.
And then also from 1500 and a
Yeah.
listed
Yeah,
building.
I mean they're all like listed buildings. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you got moonjacks
yeah,
and the fallows, pheasants,
yeah.
badgers. I mean, amazing wildlife. We got otters in the golf course.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
We have, of course, we got golf course in our own state, which we
Alright.
can walk on. Yeah,
Yeah, nice. So Bilal, so you've also had some time at ZSL recently.
yeah. So I went to ZSL with James Hansford. So I am doing my work on the historical distribution of animals with James, and he's amazing. He worked on the Chinese alligator and he established the historical distribution of Chinese alligator and its future
Wow.
distribution in terms of climate change. He works with Professor Samuel Turvey,
Mm-hmm.
and he got Guinness World Record for discovering the oldest the bird which lays the largest egg.
Wow, which bug's that?
I don't know. You can check on the internet.
Ostrich?
Not ostrich, but something else from Australia.
Emu? I don't know.
I don't know, but
We'll figure it out.
he discovered the world's largest flightless bird, I guess.
Yeah.
Or the bird which laid the largest egg, something like that.
Wow.
But he done amazing research on historical distribution work, and yeah, so I worked with him for a whole month to develop some techniques regarding the historical distribution, and he is amazing. And I went into the ZSL archives, so I went there and found lots of interesting material relating to my research on historical distribution of animals from the ZSL archives, because some of those ZSL fellows were from it when India was part of the British Empire. They got lots of stuff from that era.
Yeah.
That's why it's amazing. It's cool, and how the zoos work.
Yeah.
How the zoo works is
Yeah,
amazing. itself.
that's true. So, which animals are you interested in? Historical distributions of
Big cats.
big cats?
Yeah.
Nice. For Pakistan?
Not from Pakistan, but from Pakistan, India.
Yeah, nice. Amazing.
South
Nice.
Asian region.
Yeah.
Pakistan, India, Iran, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Because they were this part of the same network and
Yeah.
the same species.
Absolutely.
Different from Africa. So
Yeah.
not from Africa, but from Asia.
Nice. Yeah, amazes me. Like, you would have had lions, tigers, cheetahs, bears,
Yeah,
wolves, and leopards,
Yeah.
all in the same area, which is
Exactly.
amazing. And elephants and rhinos. And
Or we just imagine how
imagine.
we could
Crazy.
be able to document the elephant rhinos extinction from the areas where they were
Yeah,
present
yeah.
before.
crazy. Okay, so last thing, actually, penultimate thing, because I forgot to write down the secret question. But before that, so you're also, Bilal, amongst your many other achievements and accolades, you're also a fellow of the Linnean Society
Yeah.
and the Royal Geographic Society. So
Yeah,
tell us
exactly.
about that quickly.
So the Linnean Society is the oldest biological society in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It is a society where Charles Darwin and A.R. Wallace presented their theory of evolution.
Yeah.
And they were also the fellows of this society. So it was always a privilege for me to be fellow of this prestigious society. I was nominated by the president, Anjali Goswami. She's the director of vertebrate section in Natural History Museum, London. And she's an amazing lady, amazing South Asian woman who is doing some concrete work in conservation science within UK. So one of her papers is just published in the Nature, in which she saw the evolution of the mammalian skulls, I guess. But she's an amazing lady. So I became part of the Linnean Society after I came to the UK. And it was an amazing experience to go into the society, to look into the historical archives and personal collection of Wallace and Linneus. I mean, it's amazing. It's a surreal experience. And then the whole Burlington House is amazing. The Burlington Arcade is amazing. And then, of course, I am also the part of the Royal Geographical Society. So one of my main reasons behind joining the Royal Geographical Society was that most of the fellows were one of the earliest explorers in Pakistan. And you got lots of archival data about their historical trips or exploration journeys into Pakistan. And all of that is still unpublished because some of that was censored, some of them were secret reports, secret maps, things like that. So it's all in the archives of RGS, which I am hoping to collect, and I might go on the footpath of those people to trace their footsteps and see how the things has changed after all of these years.
The RGS loves expeditions and funding projects like that where you retrace previous RGS fellows.
Exactly.
They love it. They love it.
One of the main reasons behind joining the Indus Dolphin expedition was because I read through the travels of Alexander Burns. So as I told that Alexander Burns was the first one who traveled upstream the Indus after Alexander the Great on a specific trip, on a specific purpose of serving the Indus River. So that was one of my reasons why I went on the Indus Dolphin expedition. We didn't went upstream, but we went downstream and we saw some of those places, not all of them. But still, and the next thing which I am going to do is I am going to see the northern areas of Pakistan. Not just the northern areas, but also something else near the northern areas.
So we'll leave that for next time.
For the next time. So I hope to trace down all of those footsteps over there.
Nice. Okay, Bilal, the final question for the podcast. If you had a billboard, a big message you could put out in big writing for the rest of the world to see, what would you put on your billboard?
God, I'm all good. You didn't told me that question before. Oh man.
Take your time.
Take your time. It's very, very difficult. Okay, so always put your self-satisfaction as the top priority than any material gain, and always share your data or findings with others. For example, in conservation, I joined the conservation because of my self-satisfaction, not because of any kind of material gains or like I am going to get a huge amount of funding in the near future, or that's why conservation is the best field, or there's lots of funding going on, that's why conservation is best. No, it's because I feel satisfaction in conservation, in preserving the animals. That's why I joined the conservation field. And when you collect some data and then you give it to someone, then just give it, regardless of asking him money or something in return, because you take the data for your self-satisfaction, and that's the self-satisfaction is the most best thing in this world if you are going to get it.
Nice. Thank you, Azizam.
Thank you, Azizam.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your
time.
Thank you so
much. And thank you to all the ones who listen to this shit.
Okay, Bilal, so where can people find you? Last thing.
So they can find me anywhere on social media. My social media username is It's Wild Bilal. ITSWILD BILAL. If they want to email me, It's also the same address, just at the rate of gmail.com, outlook.com, icloud.com, whatever handle you have. It's just like this. So my username is Ismail Bilal. You can put it, type it at anywhere. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And I shall be there with that.
Alright, thank you, Aziza.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much.
There we have it, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this exciting episode. I've learnt so much from Bilal over the past year, and I'm really excited for more people to hear about him and the amazing things he does. I love conservation so much, and I'm really excited to have on more of our amazing colleagues in the future, and I am definitely keen to visit Pakistan one day. You can follow Bilal on Instagram at itswildbilal for more. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.